on Twitter, where I will be live tweeting the conference and the G2 Great Chats after the conference. You can follow me there. The reason I picked social media for my part of the presentation is I think it's the most authentic form of writing there is today. Constantly, we're on social media. Adults, kids, everybody. And when you look around a classroom, students have handheld access to the internet in so many different ways, whether it be by iPod, phone, tablet, computer, anything. And adults do too. In your everyday lives, we're on our devices constantly. Imagine how much work or how little work you would get done if you didn't have your phone for a week. It would not be as successful as you would be with your phone. So it's kind of hypocritical for us to say, you can't use your phone to do work, but we can. It's strange that we treat technology as taboo when in the real world it's what we are constantly using to better ourselves. On Twitter, there are 700 million accounts worldwide. Instagram has 500 million users worldwide. Combined, that's 1.2 billion. That's 1.2 billion opportunities for students to interact with different viewpoints, different ideas, similar interests, people that they wouldn't be able to connect with in person. If I wanted to right now, I could talk to somebody in Morocco about the new Bruno Mars album. I can't do that right this second because I'm not in Morocco. I can using social media though. You can connect with people that you would never get the opportunity to talk to. There are so many things you can do on social media too. You can join social movements. You can live tweet media events, like the current election. We can talk about interests with people who agree with us or disagree. We can have those conversations in a respectful tone and get different viewpoints to potentially change our minds or potentially impact somebody else's opinion. So, once again, another cheap plug. On Thursdays at 8:30, there's the G2 Great Chat, and I take part in those. Dr. Mary Howard co-runs them, and it's a professional development chat for teachers. And every week they come in and talk about it, or talk about what they're doing in their classrooms. It's basically like a miniature NCTE. And so what I was doing is I was sitting on my couch watching TV one day, and I went through the trending topics on Twitter, and I was like, oh, G2 Great, that's a Twitter chat, I can jump right in. So I started looking at the questions and the answers scrolling by for a minute or two, and then I decided that was boring, and I jumped in and started answering the questions, and started giving like a student perspective to it, because I haven't been through graduate school. I'm not a teacher, I can't give that perspective, but I can say what works for me, what doesn't work for me, and what I've seen works for my peers and what doesn't work for my peers. So, after a couple months of me spending an hour on my phone every week looking at social media, I got to guest host the chat. And so I helped moderate the chat for a night, and we had a lot of questions and answers, and a lot of people joined in, and it was a good experience. And now, when I go to apply for a college, I can say, hey, I guest hosted the G2 Great Chat, and I'm going to continue to use that Twitter hashtag to continue the conversation. The thing that I noticed too about why I started like analyzing why I went to my phone while I was watching TV. And when you think about TV or games or anything that you could do using technology, TV doesn't value your input. On social media, if you are tweeting or Instagramming or Snapchatting, whatever, it values what you're saying. If I'm watching something on TV, it doesn't care what I think of its show. I mean, maybe the ratings will mess it up later, but at this moment, it doesn't care. But if I tweet about a hashtag that's currently relevant, I'm getting feedback instantly. I'm getting people talking to me, agreeing with me, disagreeing, and I can have those conversations. You can't have that with a television. You can't have it with a movie. You can't have it with music. And with all these opportunities still, teenagers' profiles look like this. There's no profile information. Nothing sets them apart from other profiles. If you saw this on Twitter, going through the NCTE hashtag, I guarantee most of you would not follow this. There's no tweets. There's 14 followers. They've been here since January 2012, and they haven't done anything. So what is the purpose of having Twitter if you're not going to use it? Honestly, in my opinion, I think students just don't know how to correctly use it. I talked to a lot of my friends before I came here, and I was like, I'm always on Twitter. I have thousands of tweets. How come you guys have 3? They were like, I don't really have any. I don't have anything to say. Like, I don't know how to say it in a way that means anything. And I think that is something that needs to be taught in a classroom. It's a form of writing. Writing is not just 5-paragraph essays. So, in a classroom, students, in my opinion, should be taught how to social network correctly. The way I do it is I look at a Twitter trend or a Twitter moment, which is a compilation of tweets, if you didn't know, about a certain topic. And I like it if I agree with it. I retweet it if I couldn't have said it any better myself. And if I have something to add, I'll reply or quote the tweet. The biggest part of Twitter that people miss is I have to say something new. If I reply to somebody and just say, like, thumbs up, I didn't add anything to the conversation. That was just a waste of 30 seconds for me to say that. I have to be replying to somebody, adding my own analysis, and changing the conversation that's happening. Otherwise, it's just as pointless as having no tweets on my feed. They have the same meaning. So, once that is accomplished, the digital footprint needs to be, talked about. Colleges these days are looking at social media more than they have in the past because of how many scandals they've had about people doing stupid things on Twitter and posting it and then getting the college in trouble. They're not taking any chances anymore, so they want to make sure your presence is calm and nice and not profanity-laden. So it needs to be addressed in a classroom how to use social media. On Twitter right now, there are so many people who aren't using it smartly, whether it be kids or adults. The best way to teach negative digital footprint, in my opinion, is just to look at arguments you see on there. There are huge political figures that use Twitter in an incorrect way that you can use to teach. And over the next 4 years, we're going to see a lot more of it. But we can use that as a positive and turn it into a teaching moment. We can use Twitter to teach people that it's not okay to make fun of disabled people. We can teach them that it's not okay to alienate different cultures, and we can teach them that it's not okay to sexually assault women. And you can't really do that while looking at TV. You can't really do that listening to music. These are real people, talking about what's going through their head. You can talk with these people. It's almost like having a face-to-face conversation. It's just through a device. There is so much you can do with social media that you can't do with other forms of media. I think it's really important to teach it. You can continue the conversation. This concludes my portion of the presentation. You continue the conversation. These are our Twitter handles. We're going to be live tweeting the rest of the conference under the hashtag NCTE16. You can talk about this presentation and our one at E48 later today with the hashtag BowTieBoys, and we will talk back and forth with you and grow our networks and everything. But that concludes my portion of the presentation. So